Hey friends, welcome back to our read aloud. And our read aloud for today is our final book of the Little Shaq series called Star of the Week. So let's get right into this third book. So, Little Shaq Star of the Week. Chapter 1, MVP. Little Shaq couldn't wait for school to start. His teacher, Miss Turpenny, would announce the next star of the week any minute. "I think it's going to be Aubrey," said his neighbor Rosa Lindy. "I bet it's Barry," said Aubrey Skipple. "Really?" asked Little Shack's cousin Barry. Little Shack didn't know who Miss Turpenny was going to choose, but he hoped it would finally be his own turn. "Quiet, everyone. Walter needs to take attendance," said Miss Turpenny. Walter was Aubrey's twin brother and the current star of the week. Walter had lots of responsibilities, like taking attendance and passing out the snacks at break time. And last weekend, he looked after Flopsy, the class rabbit. Little Shack loved Flopsy, but she wasn't his favorite part of Star of the Week. Tomorrow was Walter's last day as the star, and he would get to do show and tell. Little Shack thought show and tell was the best thing ever. He'd be making a list of what he'd bring in since the beginning of the year. There was his seashell collection from the Jersey Shore, a photo of his family at Nana Ruth's birthday party, and his very special autographed basketball from the All Star game. When Walter finished taking attendance, he took his seat next to Little Shack. "Well done, Walter. You've been such a bright star this week," said Miss Turpenny. Little Shack patted his friend on the back. "And now," Miss Turpenny continued, "it's time to announce the next star of the week." Little Shack felt his tummy tighten. He crossed his fingers underneath his desk. "The next star has a passion for learning," said Miss Turpenny. Little Shack smiled. He loved school. His favorite subject was history. "This student always lends a helping hand," Miss Turpenny went on. "Mom says that I'm a great helper," Little Shack thought. "And this student is a leader in the classroom and on the basketball court," Miss Turpenny concluded. Little Shack's eyes grew wide. His teacher had a big smile on her face. "Our next star of the week is Little Shack." The class erupted in cheers and applause. Miss Turpenny handed Little Shack a certificate and instructions for him to share with his parents. It was official. Little Shack was star of the week. After school let out, Little Shack and his friends walked to the rec center to play basketball. "You're going to be a great star of the week," said Rosa. "Totally. Being star of the week is like being the MVP of a basketball game," said Walter, "and you're really good at that." "Thanks," said Little Shack, but he suddenly felt nervous. Being the MVP was a tough job. Coach Mackins taught him that it took problem solving, teamwork, and practice to be successful. "Hey, look at this," said Aubrey. She was pointing at a flyer on the rec center's front door. "There's going to be a pet fair here all next week." "No way," said Little Shack. "You guys are so lucky that you already have pets." Walter and Aubrey nodded. They had a brown furry dog named Monty. Rose's cat was Mittens, and Barry had a tropical fish named Louie. "Maybe you could bring your parents to the rec center," said Barry. "I bet the fair will have kittens." Little Shack had been asking for a kitten for as long as he could remember. "I don't know," he replied. "They've never said yes before." That night during dinner, Little Shack was nervous about bringing up the pet fair to his parents. He was so nervous that he couldn't even eat his favorite meal. His spaghetti and meatballs sat on his plate untouched, but his parents didn't notice. His younger brother Tater had made a tower out of meatballs that had fallen over in a saucy mess. Mom was not happy, and his older sister Malia was going on and on about her school play. Finally, Dad caught Little Shack's eye. "How was your game today, buddy?" Dad asked. "It was okay," he answered. We lost, but the rec center is having a really cool event next week. Oh, yeah? Asked Mom. Little Shaq took a deep breath. Yeah, they're hosting a pet adoption fair. Shaquille, we've been through this before, said Mom. A pet is a lot of responsibility, said Dad. I am responsible, said Little Shaq. What about your chores? Asked Mom. We always have to remind you to make your bed. Little Shaq sighed. It was true. He wasn't good at remembering to take out the trash, and Mom did have to tell him every morning to make his bed. He couldn't understand the point of making it if he was just going to get back in it later. Little Shaq shook his head. There had to be a way he could prove he was ready for a kitten before the fair was over. He glanced around the room and saw his backpack. His Star of the Week instruction sheet was sticking out from the top. In all the excitement about the pet fair, Little Shaq had forgotten to tell his parents the big news. Wait! Starting Monday, I'm going to be the Star of the Week, he said. I'll have loads of responsibilities. That's true, said Malia. Being Star of the Week is a lot of work. Yeah, piped in Tater, even though he was way too young to know. Plus, I have to take care of Flopsy this weekend, Little Shaq added. He grabbed the instruction sheet and handed it to Mom. If everything goes well, then can I get a kitten? Mom and Dad looked at each other and laughed. We'll think about it, they said. Little Shaq smiled. It was a start. And that is the end of our first chapter. What did you guys think? Make sure you answer the questions that are attached um, to this assignment. Until next time, bye friends.